My inner peace. In a valley surrounded by gentle, silent mountains, there lived a monk named Renji. His temple was small, made of ancient wood, hidden among pines and bamboo. He had no disciples or visitors. Only the song of the wind and the murmur of the stream kept him company. Every morning, before dawn, Renji walked barefoot through the forest. He breathed in the scent of damp moss, listened to the crunch of dry leaves beneath his feet, and watched as the sunlight slowly filtered through the branches. One day, a young man came running to the temple. His face was restless, and his soul troubled. "Master," he exclaimed, panting, "I can't find peace. In the city, there is only noise, rush, and desire. I've tried techniques, books, teachers, retreats, but nothing works. Where can I find my inner peace?" Renji said nothing. He only smiled gently and pointed to a flat stone beside the stream. "Sit," he said. "Listen." The young man obeyed, somewhat confused. Minutes passed. Only the sound of water. Nothing else. Renji sat beside him silently. The young man looked at the monk impatiently, expecting a teaching, a phrase, a method. But the monk closed his eyes and breathed. The young man remained restless. His mind buzzed with thoughts. Is this all? Isn't he going to say anything? What am I supposed to do? Every second felt like an eternity. "Master," he finally whispered, "aren't you going to teach me how to find peace?" Renji slowly opened his eyes, his breathing calm and steady. "Don't you hear it?" he asked. "Hear what?" "Your inner peace. It's right here in this very moment. It doesn't need words or effort. You just have to stop chasing it." The young man frowned. "But how can I find it if I do nothing?" Renji picked up a dry leaf from the ground and let it fall onto the stream's surface. "Watch!" The leaf floated, gently turning, carried by the current. Without struggle, without direction, without fear. "Peace," the monk said, "is not something you reach through fighting. It's discovered when you stop resisting." The young man fell silent for a moment, and for the first time in a long time, he stopped resisting too. The wind gently blew through the trees, softly brushing against their faces. The young man, eyes closed, began to notice things he had once dismissed as insignificant. The whisper of the water, the distant song of a bird, the steady beat of his own heart. Everything remained the same, yet something inside him had shifted. "But," he murmured without opening his eyes, "if peace is here, why do we lose it so easily?" Renji gathered a handful of earth and let it slip slowly through his fingers. "Because we mistake peace for the absence of problems," he replied. "But that's not it. True peace doesn't depend on what happens outside. It depends on how you stay within." The young man opened his eyes slowly. His thoughts were still there, but they no longer weighed heavily on his chest. "So, can I have peace even if everything outside is chaos?" Renji nodded. "Your peace doesn't need the world's permission to exist. It only needs your presence." The young man lowered his gaze, staring at his own hands. They were tense, as if his entire body had been in a constant battle for years. "I've been searching for something that was already with me," he said in a soft voice. Renji slowly stood up and began walking along the edge of the stream. The young man followed. "And what do I do with everything that troubles me?" he asked as they walked. "Debts, expectations, guilt, fear. How can I find peace with all that inside me?" The monk stopped and picked up a large stone from the ground. He held it with both hands, then gently dropped it into the water. Ripples spread out in perfect circles. "It's not about getting rid of the burdens," Renji said, "but learning to let them go, one by one, like this stone." While you hold onto them, they weigh you down. But when you release them, the water embraces them. The young man closed his eyes, imagining his thoughts falling gently into the stream, without judgment, without resistance. For the first time, he understood he didn't have to fix everything to be at peace. He just had to stop holding on to it all. That night, the young man decided to stay at the temple. Renji offered him a simple mat by the window. From there, he could see the starry sky and hear the steady flow of the stream. The young man didn't speak much. He didn't need to. Something inside him had settled, like a lake no longer stirred by the wind. Renji handed him a steaming cup of hot tea and sat quietly beside him. "Today," the young man finally said, "I realized that peace doesn't come from outside, nor is it something to conquer. It's like the taste of tea. It's in the water, the leaf, and the silence with which you drink it." Renji smiled. "Exactly. Peace isn't forced. It's allowed. Like tea, it needs time and stillness to reveal itself." The young man sipped quietly. The warmth of the tea flowed through his body, and inside, he felt something new, or perhaps something ancient that had always been there, waiting to be noticed. It was his inner peace, awakening. The next morning, the young man woke up to the soft light of dawn. There were no bells, no words, no hurry. Only the birdsong, the mist among the trees, and the steady murmur of the stream. He slipped quietly out of the temple and found Renji meditating beneath a cedar tree. The monk looked at him and nodded with a gentle smile, as if he already knew the young man would soon leave. "Should I stay longer to strengthen this peace?" the young man asked. "No," Renji replied. "You already carry it with you. What matters is not staying here, but remembering what you discovered, wherever you are." The young man nodded, though still unsure. "And what if I lose it again?" Renji gazed at the clear sky. "Then come back to the present moment. Peace always lives there. No matter how many times you forget it, it never leaves, just waits for you to return." The young man closed his eyes for a moment. He felt the sun on his face, the earth beneath his feet, and his breath like an anchor. He was ready. The young man walked down the dirt path that would lead him back to the world. Each step felt light, as if he had left behind a heavy burden that had never truly belonged to him. The noise of the city, the hustle of the crowds, the glowing billboards, all of it was still there, but he was no longer the same. Amid the chaos, he moved with calm. At the heart of the noise, he heard a silence that accompanied him. He remembered the master's words. "Peace isn't forced, it's allowed. It's not something you chase. It's found when you stop running away." Days passed. There were challenges, intense emotions, good news, and bad. But whenever something threatened to overwhelm him, he closed his eyes for a moment and returned to the stream, back to the floating leaf, back to himself. Each night, he began writing one phrase in a notebook. "Today, I remembered that my peace isn't outside. It's inside, waiting for me." And every time he wrote that phrase, peace settled a little deeper within him. Years passed, and that young man, now with silver at his temples, returned to the temple nestled in the mountains, not to seek answers but to silently give thanks. Renji was no longer there. The temple still stood, though weathered by time. The stream still flowed. The stone remained. Everything the same, yet everything changed. He sat on the same rock where, many years before, he had once begged desperately for help. He closed his eyes. He breathed. And in that moment, he understood that peace had never been a destination, nor an achievement, nor a gift from his master. It had been a constant choice, a return again and again to what is essential, to what is simple, to what is deep, to himself. And as the sun set behind the mountains, The old disciple smiled, because he finally understood that his inner peace wasn't something he found. It was something he chose to be.